Go ahead.
The presentation?
Well, let's start with the camera.
Okay. What's that?
Who's going to start the meeting? Do you want to
Scott
start?
is.
You want to call the meeting to order?
Sure. This
Yeah.
is John Myrtle, District Clerk. This is the Integrated Plan Implementation Consent Order Quarterly Report Public Meeting for Q1 2024, January 1st to March 31st, 2024. Today is Thursday, June 13th at 6 p.m.
Great. My name is Scott Jelson, CEO of the MDC. So I'm just going to first introduce our speakers, which is going to be Jason Waterbury, who's Assistant Manager of Engineering, and Jeff King, who's our Diversity Officer and Construction Manager. We'll be talking about the update tonight. I'd first like to just take a moment of silence for a construction employee of Paramount Construction who was killed yesterday by a vehicle on one of our construction sites, Mr. Jose Diaz Nueves. So if we could just take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. So I'm going to turn this right over to Jason right away to get started.
Gotta get the slides up. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. Presentation of of tonight's meeting. This is the same general format that we've gone over in the last consent order updates. We're going to give a brief overview of the projects in North Hartford, Hartford and outside of Hartford, as well as an update of our key performance indicators that are required under our consent order. And then Jeff King is going to give an update on our small minority and women in disadvantaged businesses and our local labor initiative, as well as other recruiting efforts. The map on your screen shows the North Hartford area. This is the pilot area that we're working on with DEEP right now. The key focus in this area has become I&I removal as a means for CSO reduction. However, the other benefits of that work and this revised approach, is a reduction in flooding, sewer surcharges, and private property backups. This slide shows what 4 items are required to be presented per our consent order for our quarterly and annual updates. First 3 have not changed from any prior presentation. The 4th item is any other items requested by the Commissioner of DEEP. There were no updates that fit into that as any other. There were no special requests from DEEP for this meeting. Before I continue, I forgot to mention that this presentation, the video recording and the slides itself will be on our website, as with the other presentations. So if anyone has any questions or comments and they want to go back and review the videotape, they can go to our website and get that information. The slide shown on the screen right now is the schedule updates for all of our consent order projects. You'll see that there were 3 projects that actually had advertisements for bidding in Q1, meaning those projects are on the verge of going into construction. There are also 3 more projects with advertisements for bidding in Q2 of 2024, meaning those projects are on the verge of going to construction. So you'll see in the next couple quarters some significant updates of projects moving into construction and also into a completion phase. We've also added a milestone diamond on this presentation. Those are the proposed deadlines for the expedited sewer separation work. I'll go into more detail in a couple of slides. This was presented back in March. We're still discussing what the final schedule for that work is going to be with DEEP. Excuse me. Sorry. The slide on your screen right now has been shown before in our March annual update. This shows the baseline scope of work for our expedited sewer separation projects. Obviously, this has not changed since our last update. The key takeaways on this slide are the 2 milestones that are shown on the screen. One is for the work within the public right-of-way, which was 12/31/2024, and the second one is for work within private property, which was 12/31/25. This slide shows the additions to the scope for our 4 expedited sewer separation projects. None of the additional scope has changed since our March 2024 presentation. We're still working through these projects and still working with DEEP on the actual extension for the scope. This third slide shows where those key additions of scope were. One being the Garden Street area for our Westland project, and the second being the Main Street area for our Windsor Street project. Of note on this slide, our right-of-way work within Durham has been completed. I'll show that in a couple slides where Durham Street is, and the public right-of-way work for our Branford Woodstock area is nearing completion and should be completed by the middle of 2024. Westland Street has started construction and it's currently on schedule for completion in the end of 2025. The water main work is underway right now and the sewer rehab work has begun. The storm drainage work will complete once the water main work is done. In the Windsor Street area, that design has continued. We're approaching near final part of the design. We're going through some complex issues with that project, working through some design alternatives. And once that design is complete, we will then revisit the schedule for that project with DEEP, which may result in a slight tweak to the milestone request of 12/31/25 for all of our expedited sewer separation work. This slide is required per our consent order. It shows the anticipated CSO reductions for each project in our consent order for the 1-year storm as well as a typical year. Those definitions are, for anyone who's curious, are shown at the end of our presentation. There's a handout of definitions here if you're in the room. None of these numbers have changed since the prior 2 presentations as far as what we are expecting for reductions for each of these projects. This slide shows additional sewer improvement work, which is required per our consent order as far as an item to be presented tonight. The key update on this slide from our March presentation is the red text near the bottom of the screen. That is the amount of sewer rehab work that we did in Q1 on our sewer on-call program, which is also known as our sewer asset management program. Most of that's in conjunction with our member towns paving programs. So in this case, we did about 10,000 feet of sewer lining work in Q1 of 2024 for our on-call sewer program. Now I'm going to go through this screen. This shows the projects in North Hartford. No updates from as far as the status of these projects from our March 2024 presentation. However, like I mentioned before, several of these are either on the verge of moving into construction. The first item that popped up is the baseline expedited sewer separation projects with the top left. Is there a laser pointer on this? Middle bottom, right? Or maybe not. Top left of the screen in the Granby area is Durham Street. That's the gray area there. Then moving left to right towards the center part of North Hartford is the Woodstock Branford area. That's the next gray area shown on here. And then you've got Westland Garden Street, and then moving left to right from that, the far right is Windsor Street. As I mentioned before, Durham Street is substantially complete. Woodstock Branford is on the verge of completion. Westland Garden is in construction, and Windsor Street is still in design. This shows, again, those added areas to those expedited sewer projects for Garden Street and Main Street. Now moving along, the first rehab contract was the Tower Avenue Sewer Separation Project, which is approximately, the main line work is near completion, and the lateral lining work is about 60% complete right now. The blue area that just popped up on your screen was the first large lining contract that we initiated. Construction began in that project in Q1 of this year, and construction continued through Q1 of 2024. The next project shown on your screen is the North Meadows Sewer Rehab Project, and all these rehab projects that I'm showing is, as a refresher, we're lining every mainline pipe and every lateral. This project has been bid and construction has just started in early quarter two. It's a preview. And then the third one of their large rehab contracts is the Gully Brook project, which in quarter one, the design was nearly wrapping up. Now, this yellow highlighted area that just popped up is something you've seen on prior presentation. It's the North Branch drainage study. It encompasses the North Branch Park River watershed area from Farmington Avenue all the way up to the town line on Bloomfield and West Hartford. I'll go into, there's a slide dedicated to the scope of this project. The key outcome of this is going to be the sewer separation projects that are about to pop up, which is the purple area on your screen, which is Granby 7, 8, and 9, which are envisioned to be the first 3 sewer separation projects in the Granby area. I do say envisioned because obviously the scope and schedule and sequence of which separation projects go first, second, or third could be adjusted based on the outcome of that drainage study. And this is the collection of all the projects in North Hartford. Now the next slide shows another key component to our North Hartford pilot program, which is our sewer backup prevention program and sewer house connection program, both of which are being administered by our utility services department. On your screen, you'll see information as to how you would actually participate in these programs. The key goal of the sewer backup prevention program is to prevent inflow from coming into our combined sewer or sanitary sewer, as well as providing protection to individual properties from backups during wet weather events. And then the sewer house connection program is an opportunity for residents to have their sewer house connection, also known as their lateral, renewed and paid for by the district. Of note, to date, since July 2023, which is when our consent order modification was signed, we've done about a little over 500 backwater valve or sewer backup prevention assessments in North Hartford alone. Now, this next slide shows projects in our consent order that are located in Hartford but not in North Hartford. None of the statuses of these projects has changed since our March presentation. They are a lining project in Bloomfield and North Branch area, known as the Bloomfield North Branch Area Sewer Rehab, the Gully Brook Area Sewer Rehab Project, which is nearing completion, and then our 18 to 21 inch brick rehab project, which is actually being broken up into 2 contracts. And then finally, the tunnel contracts 2, 3, and 5, which collectively as a whole has not changed since our March presentation. And then finally, a small rehab project in the center of Hartford, known as N30. It's a small amount of rehab where the objective of that project is to comply with our consent order, which is a 1-year level control for that CSO, which flows into the North Branch Park River conduit. And finally, these are the remaining consent order projects that are not located in Hartford. Similar to the last slide, no status of changes have occurred on these projects since our March 2024 presentation. You've got the West Hartford SSCS project on the right-hand side, which is a rehab of a significant amount of pipe within the town of West Hartford, which will have benefits to the combined sewer system in Hartford, as well as rehab in Bloomfield. One project is in construction and nearing completion, and another project where is programmed for a little bit later in phase 1. So that design is not yet started. This is a slide showing the contents of the North Branch Park River drainage study that I mentioned a couple slides ago. This is a project that's jointly being done by the district and the city of Hartford. It has 2 main components to it. The first of which is to identify any improvements to either the river or the flood control systems or the drainage corridors through this part of Hartford, as a means to improving how water can flow ultimately through the North Branch Park River and to the Connecticut River. And the second primary objective of this study is a preliminary design for the sewer separation projects that are required to eliminate CSOs N2 and N4. CSOs N2 and N4, which you may recall from prior presentations, are the 2 CSOs that discharge to the North Branch Park River area above Asylum Avenue. The key, while the study is continued and we expect it to be complete late 2024, third quarter 2024 is the current estimate, the key milestone that was achieved during Q1 was that the design storm process and standards were established for all the separation work in this area. All the sewer separation work in this area will be designed to meet current DOT standards. The next two slides are the key performance indicators located in our consent order that we're required to report on every single quarter. You'll see a lot of, first off, you'll see that Q1 and year-to-date match. Obviously, this is the Q1 update, so those two columns are going to match. In the September update, when we're presenting Q2, you'll see obviously the Q2 information, and then you'll see year-to-date at that point in time. Of note, we lined about 2.5 miles of sewer mains district-wide in Q1, and we lined 456 sewer laterals in Q1 district-wide. That 456 number more than doubled what we had done previously since 2019. So that's a result of a lot of projects, moving through construction. And you'll see that number start to really jump exponentially over the next couple updates. And this is the same slide, except it's broken into North Hartford. Again, a significant increase in the sewer laterals that were renewed in Q1, almost doubling what we had done previously. And then while there's no private property separation work shown right now, that work is currently underway in a couple areas, specifically Durham Street. So you'll see those numbers increase in the Q2 update in September. Next two slides are also required per our consent order. This shows the CSO reductions in N2 and N4 on this slide. This slide and the subsequent slide will be updated as projects are considered complete. Given that there are no projects that are substantially complete at this point in time through Q1, this slide has not been updated. But as projects are completed, you'll see updates to this slide. And same thing goes for this slide, which is the CSO reductions in the North Meadows and Gully Brook areas. And with that, I will turn it over to Jeff. Want this? Or I'll okay.
Thank you, if you don't mind. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name's Jeff King, Construction Compliance. I also work with the Outreach Department, the Communications Department, under the leadership of Nick Salemi and Julie McLaughlin at times. And for Q1, we worked on the efforts for opening this outreach office. We used Hartford contractors and vendors to help us get the office ready for the ribbon cutting that was scheduled in May of 2024. The office will be staffed by MDC staff and our community consultants. The office is going to serve as a local hub so residents don't have to go far for information. And we'll be distributing flyers from that location and conducting appointments so residents can walk in to sign permission forms for all of the work that Jason was talking about through our sewer separation and backwater valve or house connection programs. We'll continue to use the website, the MDC website, to update on different programs and projects. We'll advertise through the local newspapers like the Inquiring News and Hartford Current. And we'll continue to attend any of the NRZs. There's about 13 in Hartford to answer any questions and update each community that has construction happening in their area. So in Q3 and 4 of last year, the whole purpose of all of our recruitment efforts were to find contractors who could submit a proposal and have their WBE status, SBE status, and DBE status. This quarter, the focus was, making sure that all the contractors would renew their MBE status so that we continue to give them more work and continue to advertise the projects that were going out for bid. We held 3 more clinics at our training facility with our partners you see listed there for renewing, applying for new certifications, and reviewing the SAM.gov ID process. This targeted outreach that we did this year, in the beginning of the year, was to help build more of a contractor base where we could find Hartford-based companies that wanted to become prime contractors, like a plumbing contractor, or find subcontractors who wanted to work with some of our larger prime contractors, for example, landscaping or trucking company. So with our utility services, we also provided some training for these new contractors and existing contractors coming on board. We basically want at the MDC all of our customers to get the same quality of work using the same materials and equipment across the board, since we're working with various contractors and some being new. Because of us, promoting new contractors from Hartford, we talked to local banks like Hedco to ensure that our qualified contractors could be eligible for a line of credits and loans if they qualify, depending on their needs. And we secured some equal pricing from regional suppliers like FW Web, so that the smaller contractors who are looking to grow could have economy of scale buying power. So those are two big initiatives to really level the playing field. Next slide. So in Q3 and 4 of last year, we did lots of planting of seeds, as Scott likes to say, for developing our partnerships, which started transforming our local labor recruitment into more of a workforce development program. These are some of the events that we attended through matchmaking and promoting business opportunities. So because of the aging workforce, we're really looking to start at the ground level with high school students and work our way up to adults. So we attended a Synergy High School interview and resume clinic. We went to the HESBA annual minority luncheon, which is the Hartford Enterprise Zone Business Association. And we attended the weekly Greater Hartford African American Alliance meetings as a means to provide updates and get feedback from their education committee and their construction committee. We also attended a mini career expo at the engineering and green technology pathway schools for Hartford Public Schools. And at those events, we started passing out our work-based learning brochure to really kind of plant more seeds, so that when we have more events in the future, training events, we would have a good base. Next slide. So as we talked about, a lot of the work we did was partnerships, and all of this work started to progress into a workforce development goal. So what ended up happening in this quarter was at all these events, we passed out and promoted our work-based learning program. We talked to the Connecticut Technical Education Career Systems a lot more to get on their portal that's going live later in the year. This will be a one-stop location where employers can interact with graduates and undergraduates for employment opportunities. We went to the Ready CT and Community Partners breakfast to talk about these initiatives. And through all of these partnerships, we created a Tri-Trade event with the Connecticut Pre-Apprenticeship Program and DOT. That event you'll hear about next quarter, but it was during April vacation, and it was 1 week of hands-on work at the MDC, learning what we do in utility services and operations, as well as visiting those various unions to give the younger generation kind of a boot camp to start building this workforce that we need so badly. We also talked to Capital Workforce Partners to see what kind of opportunities are out there for veterans and second chance citizens that could do online training for, say, their wastewater or water treatment operator license, or try to do another Tri-Trade event with a older cohort, since the one we did with these high school students was limited to April vacation. So overall, these are our metrics. So what did we get accomplished this quarter? So we're definitely exceeding our Hartford resident goal, which was set at 30%, a self-imposed rule where we want 30% of all the hours worked on our projects in the North Hartford pilot program to be from Hartford residents. And we were successful in building up a new contractor base and in doing some matchmaking with subs and primes. We got 2 Hartford residents hired by two of our prime contractors in Q1, and we were able to train in through the local banking and plumbing suppliers, get 1 new contractor on board as a go-to backwater valve installation contractor, and he already was employing 3 Hartford residents. So we're providing more stability to Hartford residents across the city. And as you can see, we ended up working with a lot more NGOs and schools. In quarters 3 and 4, we were just working with the technical schools, but we started branching out more through the Tri-Trade event, working with member towns and non-member town high school students who aren't necessarily looking to go to college, but are looking to get into a more hands-on career. And at these various job fairs and career expos, we did presentations on the Tri-Trade success, the different partnerships that we have, and really kind of try to brainstorm what we could do moving forward. So where are we with the Hartford resident goal? In Q1 of this year, we hit 33%. 31%. So we had 3,700 hours worked by Hartford residents. And to date, we're at 32% overall. So I think we're doing a great job in making sure we get more Hartford residents employed, trained, and match made. Next slide. As far as our W and MBE goals, in Q1 we are exceeding our minority business enterprises. We're over our 3% goal, pushing more up to 5%. We're at 4.5%. We're still trying to bridge the gap with the WBE. This quarter we are right under 3%, but as the phasing and different sequencing happens, the different contractors will close up projects or start other projects, and we'll get that goal up. So to date, we're exceeding our MBE goal, and we're continuing forward to that 5% goal. And without further ado, I'll give it back to Jason so you can close out.
Thank you, Jeff. As you can see, there's many ongoing initiatives and projects. We've got a lot of projects that are moving into construction right now, and we'll be continuing that through the end of this year. The link on the hyperlink on this page has been updated. It shows all of our North Hartford sewer projects and the statuses of each project. Like Jeff mentioned, you can visit your local NRZ or also the outreach office located on Barber Street. Our next quarterly update meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 12th. And then subsequently, there will be a quarterly update in December of 2024. And again, the 2024 annual update, or 2024 annual report will be presented in March of 2025. These meetings will continue to be virtual and in person. And with that, I'll end the meeting and see if there's any comments or questions.
As this is John Myrtle, the district clerk. There's no members from the public present in person, but we do have some people virtually on the WebEx. Is there anyone on the WebEx that would like to make comments or questions? There was one phone number that was making some background noise. I muted it. I just sent you an unmute request. Phone number ending in 72. If you press *6, if you want to make a public comment, you should be able to unmute yourself. But first, Judy Allen, I believe you'd like to make a comment?
Yes, thank you. As you went through talking about the projects in North Hartford and outside North Hartford, you often said that nothing had changed since the last meeting. And I'm assuming that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. And that if I flipped back and forth from those pages to the timeline might give me a better understanding of where each project is in terms of progress.
So Judy, what I meant by that comment is that the status hasn't changed. So if it was shown in the design phase in the March meeting, it is still in the design phase as of the end of Q1. Or if the annual report in March showed the project in construction, and the project hadn't been completed by the end of Q1, it's still shown in construction. The work obviously has been progressing, but the status, the phase of the project has not changed.
I'm just looking at the timeline from last time, and what you showed looked a little different. I think it had changed. Anyway, I can check it out later. Was this presentation online posted on the website?
It will be,
It wasn't up till now?
correct, because we were,
Okay.
It wasn't required.
it wasn't recorded yet, and the presentation file itself was still being tweaked and finalized as of today, based on some comments we
Okay.
had received.
To make sure I wasn't, no, fine.
Wasn't required to be posted 30 days in advance.
And since this is a quarterly update, it wasn't required to be posted 30 days in advance. Only the annual report is required to be posted 30 days in advance.
She's still there. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment or question? If you're on a phone and you're trying to unmute yourself, if you press *6, that will unmute. Is there anyone else from the public attending remotely that would like to make a comment or question? All right, with that, we'll close this quarterly meeting.